made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 33 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm Luke Millette, and here's Jim Chester.
So today's guest is Dr. Amy Spoelstra, and she does a lot of work with kiddos. And if you guys didn't know that we are about to be at 1 in 36 on the autistic level. So if you want to hear about how she's incorporating neurodevelopment with kids into chiropractic, stay tuned. Dr. Amy, just tell us a little bit about what is your chiropractic story? How did you get into the chiropractic profession?
Oh man, I love this one. I have kind of two stories. I have how I got into the chiropractic profession, and then I have how I got to be doing what I'm doing in chiropractic. So I will start with the chiropractic. So I had no idea about chiropractic growing up. In fact, when I was in school, I always felt a little insecure about man, I wish I grew up in a chiropractic family and wish I was third generation, but I wasn't. And in fact, I was a pretty sick kid, had a lot of health challenges, and so was my brother. I have one brother. And we, had some health challenges. He had some neurodevelopmental challenges, hyperactivity and learning challenges, socialization, gut challenges. So we had an awesome mom. We were raised primarily by our mom as a public school teacher, and our dad, who was a optometrist, but they were divorced, as many families with neurodevelopmental disorders in their family struggle with. That they end in divorce quite often, families. So we're living this life, and my mom, they're doing everything they know to do. Like we're going to the doctor all the time. We're sick all the time. Had multiple, had 3 times ear tubes in. I have loss of hearing in my left ear from it. Tonsils out, the whole gamut. We were not a very healthy family, And but we did all the things that you're supposed to do to be healthy, right? How does that work? And so I remember being in high school and going, just kind of saying to myself, I don't get this. And I was an athlete, and so it was really important for me to be healthy because I wanted to compete. And when I was sick, I couldn't do that, right? And so I remember kind of having the thought of, well, if I'm doing all the things that you're supposed to do to be healthy, go to the doctor, take the medications, do all of that, then why am I not healthy? Why am I sick all the time? Because I'm doing all those things, And I seem to be one of the people that's sick the most. So I just kind of had that thought. I didn't know what to do about it, but I just had it. So then I go to college, and I'm not really sure what I want to study. I was studying business at first, and I went back for a visit to one of my college friends, and her dad, actually, they live in Texas, in Austin, Texas, and her dad is an audiovisual guy, and he said he happened to be working for CJ Mertz of Waiting List Practice. He was doing his audiovisual stuff, editing his informational videos and that stuff, and he was like, you guys, hey, if I were to do anything, if I were to start over right now and do anything with my life, I'd be a chiropractor. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, oh, let me tell you. And he told us, my friend group, about what chiropractic really is, like the real philosophy of chiropractic, and about innate intelligence and the body healing. And it was like a light bulb moment. I still remember where I was, in their house, in his little recording studio, in the back of their house. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. That's what I'm supposed to do. And so I actually went back, to school, completely changed my whole path. I was taking business classes. I went back and I was like, well, I'm going to be a chiropractor. So I'd never been adjusted. I was like, okay, so 2 things I have to do. One, I have to change all my classes. So I completely changed. The next semester I signed up for chemistry, regular chemistry, physics. I don't even remember organic chemistry, all of them in one semester, which was a terrible idea, by the way, but I just did it, And I also was like, I better get adjusted. So I got the nicest clothes I had on, which probably weren't that nice at the time, and I went around to all the chiropractors that I could find. I just walked into their offices and I was like, hey, I'm going to go to chiropractic school. I love chiropractic philosophy. I'm a college student. It was at Michigan State University. I was like, I'm a college student. I also I've never been adjusted, but I would love to be adjusted. I was like, can I volunteer in your office? Can I be an intern? What can I do to help you to learn and also to get adjusted? And everybody would they laughed at me. People were like, I thought this was a great idea, and I thought everybody was just gonna welcome me with open arms. And I went to probably 20 offices in that area, and I was just laughed at, and I was like, what the heck? But I didn't stop, and I went to this one office, and this chiropractor has actually passed away now, but she was amazing. Her name was Dr. Linda Rassel in Michigan. And I walked in there, and she heard me from the back. I was talking to her staff saying the same spiel, and she heard me, and she came out, and she's one of those old-timer chiropractors who was super passionate about philosophy, and she sat me down, and she kind of ran me through her questions, and she was like, okay, you want a job? And she hired me right then as a CA, and she started teaching me chiropractic philosophy, and I started working while I was going through school, and that was it. That was my story.
So
yeah.
What would you say makes you unique in the chiropractic world?
Well, I think that's kind of interesting story, but then also before I went to chiropractic school, before I was even in college, I grew up, as I mentioned before, with my brother who had some challenges, neurodevelopmental challenges, and as I mentioned, my mom was a school teacher, my dad was an optometrist. Well, my dad, seeing his child having challenges with reading, learning in general, behavior, and socialization, went, there's something up here that I don't know. And he actually left the traditional optometric field and became what's called a neuro-optometrist or a behavioral optometrist. And some people have heard of that. Have you guys heard of that before?
Never heard of that classification.
Yeah, most people haven't. I lecture a lot, and it's usually I get 1 or 2 people that have, but usually they're they maybe have a child on the spectrum or with some sort of developmental challenge. So,
honestly, Amy, it sounds fascinating, so I'm ready to learn about it.
It is. They're kind of a different kind of profession like us. There's the traditional, the best way I can classify it is optometry is there's the traditional optometrist, which is what most people think about, the traditional chiropractors, in our mind, where they think, oh, I'm just going to go in and kind of get wrapped and cracked, And then there's the neuro-optometrists, which actually have 3 names, which is strange, but they refer to themselves as either developmental optometrists, behavioral optometrists, or neuro-optometrists. And basically, the long story short, all they are is they know that the eye movement and the eyes in general tell us a heck of a lot about the brain. And what we're interested in with kids with neurodevelopmental disorders is the brain, right? And we're interested in any deflections from typical development in the brain. So I grew up doing what's called vision therapy, and my dad was the leader in his field. And because my brother was in the therapies, then I was forced to be in it too, which I'm thankful for now. But, I grew up knowing a lot about the brain and sat in the back of a lot of lecture halls learning about neurology and development and childhood development. And it was one of those things I just grew up knowing, and I didn't even recognize that other people didn't know. And when I never thought I'd do anything in that field. It was just something that was a part of me and a part of my family. And when I decided to be a chiropractor, I really didn't know that these 2 things were going to come together. I didn't realize it actually until I was in my first year of chiropractic school at Sherman College, sitting in a neurology class, and I went to myself, hold on a second, these 2 professions need to be talking. These chiropractors know a lot and are helping a lot of people, and the science makes sense, but these neuro-optometrists also know a lot, and these nutritionists and these, occupational therapists, like, they all know a lot, but none of them are actually collaborating and talking and developing a theory together. And I feel very strongly that I must have been put on this earth to bring this work together, and that's what I've done. In my practice, I have a typical pediatric and family chiropractic practice, but I have developed a whole separate program called Focus, where I've done just that. And so we have an integration of these different professions, where we're helping kids and adults really heal from these neurodevelopmental disorders and have a better expression of life. And so I like to describe myself as, like, I am a really straight chiropractor, but I do a lot of other things also.
Well, this is part of the show that really gets me a chance to jump off script and to really think about more of what you're doing. And it seems like you become like a niche specialist when it comes to children, and especially children that might have some developmental issues. Am I right?
That's correct.
So do you find cases that are just local, or people coming from all distances to get care from you based on what you're doing for the kiddos?
Both, actually. I have I call it like my brick and mortar program here in Coeur, Idaho, where we work with local, the local people and the surrounding area, within a couple hours. And we've been accepting patients here into that program I've been in practice 10 years. We've been accepting people into the Focus program for just over 6. And we've had a lot of demand around the country and actually around the world from other parents and other practitioners to get this information to them. And so I have done some consulting, training parents and training other practitioners, basically to work with their own kids and put their team together in their area and do this work. And so that's something I'm really developing. We just brought an associate on to help us in the chiropractic side. So I am full on development mode into getting those programs more accessible for people that don't live here in 2018. So that's what we're doing.
That's pretty interesting. So tell us just a little bit of a humanistic approach to this whole thing. How do you see like families changing, and how do you see like people getting the care that you provide? How do you see like that whole the whole cycle of life going with chiropractic care?
Are you speaking to just like what the dynamics I see in families as their kids heal and change?
Yeah, I mean, the chiropractic touch is one thing, but when you start delivering care to people, there's always that, like, the rub of, oh, it doesn't do anything, or well, you guys are just cracking bones or whatnot. But yeah. I think what you're seeing is you're actually making an impulse into the nervous system and changing the dynamics of a family.
Absolutely. So there's so many levels of what you just said there that I love. One of the things that I think is really important, and I've set my procedures to match this in my practice, and specifically in the Focus program. There's so much education. Our purpose statement is to empower families to take control and understand, take control, and improve their health. So, like for the Focus program, I don't even accept a new patient for an exam until they've come to one of our workshops, and those workshops are free, but it really goes over the big picture, the theory. I talk about chiropractic, I talk about the other pillars of the program, so they can really get it before we start digging in. And so they're excited, we're giving them hope, we're empowering them with information, and we're helping their psychology change, and especially when we're talking about things like autism, PANDAS, and learning disabilities and anxiety and these neurodevelopmental disorders. These families are in a world of hurt most of the time. They're in a complete fight or flight survival mode, and they need to know that, one, we have a community here for them where we are a safe place to land, and we're going to accept them and their child's challenges and behaviors right where they are, and we're going to walk them through the healing process. And as their child starts to change through the chiropractic, through the nutrition, through the Focus program and the Neuro-Deflective Retraining that we do, as their child starts to change and heal and get back on track developmentally, the whole dynamic of the family has to change. And so that can be a really tricky thing. So it's really common that we have people that will come to us first for their child, and then it's very rare that the whole family doesn't start under chiropractic care, because then it's like this community, it's this culture of healing, and they all understand that they should be a part of it.
But doesn't that also take on a different level of responsibility and passion for the profession? Because, I mean, I'm trusting you with my my kiddo that isn't doing well, and doesn't that put a lot more pressure and stress on you as a practitioner to like deliver the goods?
Sure, I suppose it does. And here's the other thing, and that I hear people saying, and I probably have said it myself, but I work very hard not to, because it's not what I believe. We don't say like, oh yeah, we heal autism, or we cure learning disabilities. What we say is we look for underlying issues, underlying neurological imbalances, and we're looking to improve those. We are looking to improve underlying function to have a better expression of life. And yeah, there is more responsibility, because these families, these kids are like I said, they're in survival mode. They're not in a great place typically, but it also makes the victory so much sweeter as well, because a lot of these families don't even know or think and have been told that there's no hope. And we know in this profession, even if we're not talking about the whole focus program, but we're talking about chiropractic, we know we can help them have a more optimal neurological function and experience of life. And so I think it's about communicating, educating, and making sure we're clear on what we do and what we don't do as well.
So do you have any favorite quotes or mantras that help you with your commitment as a chiropractor?
My staff would laugh about this, but I always say to myself and to them, if we have a problem, some challenge we're trying to figure out, whether it's with a kid or whether it's a business problem or a logistics issue or whatever, it's like, there is no problem we cannot solve, right? There's a reason for everything. There's no problem we cannot solve. We just have to think about it long enough, right? And it's kind of the same with the kids that we work with. One of the theories that I teach in the work is like, there's always a reason for behavior, right? And it is our job to watch and wonder and figure out why a child is exhibiting a certain trait. And when we figure that out, we can help them.
So what would we be able to accomplish if more people knew about your clinic and your specialty and what you were doing?
Well, I think we'd be able to accomplish, just helping. I mean, it's a pretty obvious answer, I think. I'm sorry to be so boring on it, but it's like, if more families knew, especially in this demographic of neurodevelopmental disorders, if more families knew that there were options, and there are people out there are kids out there that are healing, families that are healing, our whole world would look a heck of a lot different. Because you have to remember, I mean, the statistics on just autism right now, I don't know if you guys know this, but the CDC put out a new statistic just a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, that the autism rate is 1 in 36. And so we have to look at that and say, these are the kids that we have now. These are the kids that are having these deflective growth patterns in their brain. But these are going to be the adults, right? These are going to be the adults that are living in our world. And, we have to look at that beyond, just our family and our community, but our country and our world. I mean, we have a huge responsibility to help these kids, to help everybody. And so, I think that what I'm doing, obviously, I'm very passionate about. I think there's other people doing a lot of great things in this realm as well. And I think we just need to all keep working and keep developing and innovating in this field.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, California Jam, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle. But do you really see, Amy, that there's such a lack of urgency with getting up to speed to make sure that we can take care of this population as it becomes a greater, part of the world. I mean, I don't think people actually see like the gravity of like the urgency it needs to be like committed to like start taking care of this population of people. And I think that what you're doing is quite amazing, but I think that we have a few people out there that have the torchbearer mentality, is we're going to carry the torch and we're going to do our best to like serve this group of people. But I just don't even think people like realize how much of a health crisis that we're in right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that, which is a problem, which is why I think, like, I can only speak for myself, and I'm not saying I'm definitely not someone who will tell you I know all the answers and I am the end-all, be-all, but I do think what we're doing is really important here, and I'm committed to constantly learning and innovating because we need to, and we need more people doing that. And I think especially I've seen it within our own profession, where it's almost like a competitive thing where, and I get competition, I understand that, but this realm, there's such a huge demand, and we need, like you said, fewer people just saying, I'm going to carry the torch, and more people saying, hey, let's get informed, let's get educated, let's develop more strategies to get more people in our profession, out of our profession, recognizing and implementing programs, change, modalities that can help this population. Because, I say every time I give a lecture, I don't understand why we don't have 1,000 people in this room right now, because this is such a huge problem. And, it's like we hear on the news, like these different, epidemics that are coming, or virus or something that's going to wipe us out, and everybody's like scared and, modifying their life. And I'm like, look at what's happening right now. It's already here, it's already affecting us. It's affecting the way our children's brains are developing, and that's a huge problem. So I agree.
But I just think, Amy, that eventually we're going to get blindsided, and like the health industry is going to like, get like this whole thing like a couple years ago when we had that huge tsunami. I just feel like that's going to hit like the medical industry eventually, that they're like the medical industry is just going to get, sideswiped by this tsunami of, unpreparedness.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and it's already happening, actually. I mean, so many of these families, especially the more affected kids, are just, these families are just being turned away like there's nothing, they're told there's nothing you can do, and these families are going home and living in absolute nightmare situations, and nobody can help them. There's no services for them. There's no hope. There's no healing. There's no programs. Things aren't accessible, and it is a problem. And I think, I don't know the answer to that. All I know is what I can do in my part, what I'm committed to. And I think one of the things that we need to do is work with, not villainize the medical profession, but work with them as much as we can. Try to find those that are open to being collaborative and start working together and respecting each other, because we've got a problem that we all are going to have to be dealing with. So.
Yeah, and that's just it. I think that we have to change the narrative on how we talk about chiropractic and the medical model. I think that we can't go with that mentality of we're right, you're wrong anymore. I think that the conversation has to change to what can we do together to make a difference for the people that need all of our help. Right,
and knowing, I agree with that, and knowing and recognizing that it doesn't mean that we have to have the same beliefs or the same tools, right? It's like, it's okay, but we need to have some mutual respect, and knowing when, okay, this is in my realm now, or it's not in my realm anymore. And so, I agree with you on that. And that's taken time to develop in my own philosophy as well, with being a chiropractor and doing this work. And, I've been doing it for 10 years, which seems like a very short time. But I look at the way my own personal philosophy and my own personal confidence in being a practitioner has evolved, and how that's allowed me to open up myself to having more relationships with people on the other side of the aisle, so to speak. Yeah.
So where do you see the chiropractic profession going in the next 20 years?
You know, I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about myself. I want to say that it can improve, and with doing the things that we just said, recognizing where we are, where we're not trying to be a part of the medical community, so to speak, the allopathic community, but recognizing we have our own identity and we have our own set of tools. And I think that really takes us,
So
just recognizing where we are and working together. But I don't know. I hesitate to answer that because I'm not sure I have the best prediction of that right now.
I understand.
Yeah.
So what are some of your key marketing strategies that you couldn't do without? How do you spread the message that you're putting out there?
The biggest thing that I have done is I've lectured. I've done community lectures and workshops. We're just starting. It's funny because my age, I'm 35, and so you would think Ryan Bones is my buddy here in town, and he's like so good at the social media and the online marketing and all that. And we joke because I'm like not that old, I don't think, but I was raised kind of in that in between generation where like I didn't have email when I was in high school, but then it like kind of like social media and email like started when I was in college. So I should be better at that stuff, but I'm just really embracing like using social media and doing webinars and that kind of stuff now because I recognize that's how people get information. So for the first 10 years of my practice, I've been just networking in the community, creating relationships, and mostly lecturing. So just putting out community workshops and saying, hey, come learn about this, and then it's been word of mouth.
Yeah, that's a really cool angle. And actually, I go around and talk to chiropractic colleges and their students about marketing. And I tell them, if you guys don't do what's now happening in the chiropractic marketplace with marketing, somebody else is going to graduate from a school, I don't know, anywhere, and they're going to learn how to do this stuff. And they're going to come into your marketplace and dominate you because you're not effectively using the tools at your hands.
Right, exactly.
So just like Bones, I mean, the guy's a marketing phenom in your area, I'm sure. I'm sure he's just totally crushing reviews. He's crushing Instagram and Facebooks and all the places where everybody's scrolling.
Exactly, and it's so great because, like I said, he's my buddy, and so he's like, "All right, Amy, this is how you do it," and I'm like, "Wow, yeah, this is a whole new world for me, but I need to do it." And yeah, he did. He came right in, and he just dominated the social media world, and it's been cool to watch actually, and I learned from him, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, when you have somebody like that, and that's the thing too is. One of the underlying key results is we're all more alike than we're different in the chiropractic world. And when you realize that there's no competition, even if you guys are right next door to each other, that you're going to have different people that vibe with your practice style. He's going to have different people that vibe with his practice style, and there's honestly there's room for everybody at the table.
Yeah, that has been really cool. We're actually, we're really similar, Brian and I, and we laugh about that, but we actually, our target market is quite different. I'm like moms and kids, and he's like, I serve beer in my office, and so we laugh about that, but we also, our teams have gotten to know each other, and we're starting a quarterly here in February, meeting where our staff just gets together and has some dinner and drinks, and we do some philosophy and some training because we do some things a little bit better in our office and they do some things a little bit better in their office, and we're just learning together, which is really cool.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about you without chiropractic, and what do you like to listen to and or read?
Okay, so I have a 2-year-old, so the reading isn't happening quite as much as I would like these days, but I like to listen to everything when I'm driving. So that's my time, right? So right now, let's see, on my Audible, I'm listening to Profit First, which I'm loving. It really speaks to my entrepreneurial heart, I think. I'm not alone in these certain challenges as an entrepreneur. And I'm also listening to, what's on there? Let me look here. Think and Grow Rich by Pam Grout. That's a good one. That's really great. And that's really helpful for me kind of as part of my morning routine. So as I'm driving to the office, just to kind of get my headspace right. There's this blog that really meshes well with what I teach in my focus program based on neurodevelopment. And we do, one of the pillars of that focus program is mentoring and parenting. And so this blog is really cool, and I'd recommend it to anybody who's a parent. It's called Evolutionary Parenting. She really meshes science with behavior. So I actually keep up with that blog and read that. And I also like to read, I like to keep up on the research. And so there's this really great website, or I have like their auto emails that I get, and it gives you a breakdown. I signed up for like the optometric and the neurology and neurodevelopmental disorders summaries. It's called news.medical.net, and so that's something really cool to check out if you're interested in that. It sends you kind of a summary of like the top 10 or 15 studies out there from all different journals, and then you can download the abstracts or the article or the.
So do you prefer to read books, or do you like audiobooks better?
You know, I like to read like for fun. If I'm reading for fun, I like to read them. But if I'm looking for like content and educational or inspiration, I like to listen, because I can do it because my life is busy right now, because I'm a mom and a wife and a business owner, which probably most of your listeners are as well. I'm pretty busy, so I like to listen.
So do you feel like you have the same retention value listening as you would after like reading a text?
I think so. I think I do, but what I tend to do is if I really love something, then I will actually go and get the book. Like if I'm like, oh, that was important, and I need to remember that. So maybe my retention isn't as great, but it helps me kind of skim more. There's also I don't know what it is. It's like I guess it's not a blog. He has like a blog and podcast and whatnot. It's called, maybe you've heard of it, The Philosopher's Notes, Brian Johnson. He does kind of, have you heard of that?
No, both of us are over here shaking heads.
Oh, write it down. You will love it. It's called The Philosopher's Notes. And what it is it's like you subscribe to it, and it gives you like the big ideas from thousands of books. And so it's his audio. He gives you he literally talks you through the books, and it's like this 5-minute or 10-minute little synopsis. And so then you kind of listen to it, and you're like, oh, great message, I love that. Or you're like, ooh, I need to get that book. So it helps me with like, you know, I hear something from a podcast, or I hear something, you know, at a lecture or seminar, and I'm like, ooh, I want to read that book. Ooh, I want to read that book. But you know, I've got a stack of books next to my bed, so it's like helps you kind of get through more. That's a really cool
tip. So what podcast do you enjoy listening to?
I listen to the that one for sure. Like I have that. I don't know if that's considered a podcast, but it's like I download it. Like I said, I'm not great at tech, but I download it onto my phone, and then I have like different, like I just have it in a queue for different books. And then I also am a member of the Black Diamond Club, and I actually personally coach with Sean Dill, and so I listen to his podcast, and then also Marsha Schaefer with The Truth About Fertility. And so her information and the work she's doing, she teaches with ICPA, but her podcasts are great, and anything she has to share. If anybody out there is interested in brain development and women's health, that's men's health too. It's just family wellness. It's not just about fertility. Her stuff is golden.
Well, see, there you have it. You're not so tech unfriendly. And
I will be honest though, Bones had to come and put it all on my phone, so it was easy for me to get to the podcast.
Well, I mean, that's what's cool about, you know, co-creation and helping each other. And
yeah,
you know,
it is great.
I would expect Ryan Bones to jump over to anybody's office and help them get to the next level.
Yeah, he was cool. He actually took my Mac. I was like, I was always asking questions about how to use my Mac a little bit more efficiently. And one day he was over here helping me with something, and he was like, Amy, can I just take this for 24 hours and just clean it up? And I was like, yes, you can.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I've gotten to know him over the past year with the whole Cairo Sushi tribe. And Speaking of that, I don't want to do any plugs for them right now, but let's deflect the question back to you. Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you'd like to cover with our audience today?
Oh, well, I just think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. Was it 12 weeks of women?
Actually, it's 16 weeks.
Okay, 16 weeks. That's wonderful. I think as a female chiropractor who, has been in this and who's a wife and a mother, I think that it's really isolating and it can be hard to find your place in the profession. I think that's definitely changing as we see that. We see more women on the stages. We see more women as leaders in the profession. But historically, we've been kind of heads down, working in our own offices and not very connected. And so I think it's really wonderful what a lot of the women's chiropractic movement, the Facebook page, I heard your podcast on that, and what you guys are doing and everybody else is doing by really encouraging and connecting these women is really wonderful. And if you're a female chiropractor out there, I really encourage you early in your career, if possible, to plug into these groups because we do have different challenges, different wins than our male counterparts. We just do. We have different roles. And so we can be just as successful or more, we can be more successful. We can be as successful as we want, but finding that balance of being successful in our offices and also being mothers and wives and stuff, you can do it. But we need to stick together.
Well, Amy, I hope that the next time somebody asks you what podcast you like to listen to, you mention Chiro Hustle.
Well, I did listen to Chiro Hustle. And now I for sure will be.
That's awesome.
So this is the part of the show where we let our guests share URLs, websites, social media links. Where can people find you and learn more about you?
Well, don't judge my website just yet, but we do have our website, just our basic website, cdahealth.com, which stands for Coeur d'Alene. cdahealth.com is our local chiropractic website, and then we have our CDA Focus website. Mostly, though, check out our Facebook page, which is Spoelstra Family Chiropractic, and we share a lot of information on there when we're doing webinars for the Focus program, when we're doing events, things like that. And be looking for more offerings in this 2018 for people that are interested. Cause I get contacted all the time from doctors and parents around the country, and so I'm really excited to be offering more of an organized access point for them this year. I also have another business called navigateyourhealing.com, and you can check that out. That's really meant for parents of kids with neurodevelopmental disorders and helping them navigate this really stressful, crazy world of having a child with a neurodevelopmental disorder. So I'm a co-founder of that company with my partner, whose name is also Amy Yardley. And she's a parent of a child on the autism spectrum, and her child's been in our program, started our program about 6 years ago, and has had tremendous healing. And she is like one of those warrior moms. She's one of the thinking moms in the Thinking Moms Revolution, and she's amazing. So we started that together to create an option for parents that aren't just in Coeur d'Alene. So navigateyourhealing.com.
Well, thanks for sharing all of your information and, what inspired you to become a chiropractor and where you are after 10 years of practice. And I think it's absolutely inspiring, and anybody that listens to this episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast is definitely going to learn more about you and be able to connect with you easier.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me, you guys. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being our guest today.
Yeah, I look forward to listening to your podcast on a regular basis. Now, I might have to have Ryan put it on my phone, but I'll be a listener.
Awesome, Amy. Well, appreciate everything that you're doing, and thank you for being our guest.
Thank you. Have a great one.
All right, we'll see you.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.